This is the Red Prince TJ Sykes, and you are listening and or watching the 3 Count Podcast with your friendly neighborhood Red Dog.
Well, now by now, you already know what this is. This is Now Enter Ring 201, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. But like every good Sherpa, like Roman Reigns, acknowledge me. But more importantly, it's never about me, it's about who's entering the ring. So who's entering the ring today? This man can be found in Pennsylvania, in Delaware, in New Jersey, in New York, in Florida, in Georgia, in Europe, traveling all across the pond, right? You can find this man at SWA. You can find him at PWX, 1CW, and there's so many other promotions this man works. SWO, NWA. And more importantly, he is a great mentor of mine, and I love him to death. He is the Red Prince, TJ Sykes.
Like, can you edit in cheering in the background, or is this all in my head right now?
Right now, our audio listeners were like, "What the hell are they doing?" There's no sound.
There's no soundboards. There's nothing. This is just maniac TJ going off right there. It's you tuned into this episode, you saw who it was, you heard who it was. This is what you get from it. So, right. And here we are.
Right. So we have been on the scene. We actually got to work each other a couple times. Oh, actually, one time. But one
time, and I owe you one. I owe you one. Let's put that here right now. I owe you one, Cliff Red Dog.
Well played, TJ Red Prince.
I had a blast with that. I absolutely had a blast with that match.
Yeah, I was. It's funny because I knew that the moment that I got to work you, that was one of my favorite things that happened, because I told you right off the jump, in my top 10 wrestlers that I wanted to work in 2022, you were number one. And so the opportunity to be able to work you, I was like, hell yeah. I was like, this is
let's be honest, this is because my name has red in it too. Let's just be honest here. Come on.
The Battle of the Reds.
It's not red versus blue like Mad TV, red versus red. It's
weird color. Spy, by the way, that's not red versus blue. Red versus blue is on Adult Swim.
I know what I said.
I know you had. I was testing you.
You were testing me. Yeah.
That's what it was. No, and what? So that night, man, at HWF, right, was so special to me. Not only because I got to work the one wrestler that I wanted to work for 2022, but my dad was there as well, and so I got to
the OG Red Dog.
Yeah, it was. The big red dog.
I was trying not to. I was trying not. It was right there. It was low hanging fruit. But if you say it, it's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So it was so much fun to be able to get to work and just put on this fun match that a lot of people enjoyed, especially when I got so much feedback from so many other people that were like, "Hey, man, you did a great job." Obviously, I got my critiques in there too, and I was very open open to receiving those. But it was just cool to be able to hear people be like, man, watching you grow as a character in that match was it was a lot of fun. And I thoroughly appreciate you helping me with that.
Of course, man. Of course. What I found is you have this character, and it's to be fair, is it borderline comedic of some sort? Okay. I love that. I was like, whatever you got, I'm going to put it over as big as I possibly can. That vest thing is one of my favorite spots still to this day. And you just have to yell at me and just this is a vest. What are you doing? You're stupid.
I love wearing a vest in the ring. And a lot of guys will tell me, they're like, I don't know how you wrestle in that thing. I was like, it is tough, but it is a lot of fun. And the one thing I thoroughly enjoy is that sequence where someone chops me. And I don't sell it because honestly, Roman Reigns wore a vest and he would sell the chops. I'm like, why are you selling chops? You are wearing a vest.
So. I think during that match, I threw a kick in there that we didn't plan. And I sold the foot too. Yeah. And I think you saw me selling the foot. You're like, it works on both sides. Kick to the face.
What? Oh, what's funny is we never talked about that. But when you threw that kick, the air left my lungs. And
did it? Oh.
Yeah. And I was just trying, like, I was trying to hold it together, but I was like, oh,
I'm selling, and you're actually like, yeah, that really got me.
yeah, no, this isn't selling. I really lost lungs. He deflated. Yo, but it's like, so it's crazy, man. Like the way things work. Because the funny other part is that
Mhm.
recently we actually got to work in a six man, so we not only
Yeah,
got to face each other, but we've also got to team up.
yeah.
And like you've been
And
able to see kind
little
of like,
side note, there's going to be a lot more TJ Sykes Red Dog team ups. I'm just going to say, like, at least at SWA, I have a kind of a plan, but we're going to talk about that later.
but I was gonna say like you've kind of like seen the growth just like in the last like 8 months
Hmm.
between like that character and itself too, right? Not just
Hmm.
outside from the comedic side, but also like from other people have been pointing me in the direction of heels, right? And working as a heel as well. But
Hmm.
you've seen like the growth of that character, and it's definitely like what's your thought process on like how things have been developing as far as Red Dog goes?
You, well, for the Red Dog character, like you keep sending me stuff, and I always remember like the first stuff that you sent me, and just the progression from that, just from the promos itself. I get an absolute kick out of the promos, the wacky little stunts, the picture of you just pointing somewhere and you just like placing that in different things. I'm having a ball just watching it. Like so, you're finding that groove is what I've noticed. Like you're understanding what is Red Dog, what is he about, and you just dive right into it. So like watching that progression, like it's been like awesome, man. And just keep doing what you're doing, and just keep growing is what I'm trying to tell you.
I love it was funny because like when Jay Lee they took those photos of me just like randomly pointing and looking and like sneaking into the side. They were like, I don't know why you want to do this. Is like, trust me, it'll make a lot of sense in like a couple days whenever I get these photos. So I tagged Jay Lee in the first photo of me just like poking my head to the side when someone was just like, they got that. It was Rico Hendricks was like, he's got that dog in him, right? But he wasn't talking about me, and I just happened to see it, so I just dropped it in there. And he was like, and then they started busting out laughing, and they talk about it all the time with me. They're like, we love the fact that you're like just constantly using this photo, the point, like the one that's pointing, the one that's like randomly looking up. And I was like, when I see you guys again, there's also going to be a photo of me just looking down, so that when I retweet people's stuff, it'll
Hmm.
be looking at me down and be like, whose man is this? Right? Like,
You have a plan. That's the thing. You have a plan of what you want to do, and like that's not a lot of people do. Like you like I know what this is. Like I know what I'm going to do here. This is how I'm structuring this. And that's great. So
yeah, some of the stuff on there I do just off the fly too. Like Red Dog's thoughts of the day. Like I know a lot of people have been checking those out. Yeah, that just all
I
came off
love
of
it's the tune, and it's just like no. No real sound, no like real structure to it. Just like it's I really wish that the jingle is like different every single time. Every single time. It's like in the same cadence, just different wording.
yeah. So and what's funny is a lot of people ask me, they're like, where did you come up with that? Right? Like just the intro. Like
Mm,
uh so I was like, yo, it's from Animaniacs. Like the opening comes from
yep.
Animaniacs. And a
Yep.
lot of people were like, what? And then when they go back and listen to it, then they hear it and they're like, oh my God. And I was like, yeah, that's where I got it.
I I need one. Speaking of Animaniacs, I need one of you doing like good idea, bad idea. So, like I need that. I it's like there's so many. I enjoy the entertainment side of wrestling, and this character is by far one of my favorites. And I get a kick out of it every single time.
It's all because like, the one thing I definitely look and I appreciate is that when like I get good critiques and stuff like that,
Hmm.
things I can kind of sink my teeth into and to help grow the character. And one person that's been very instrumental in that, and I think you'll agree too, is Jason Heat. Like he's
Hmm.
been able to
Hmm.
help me like grow and like understand like the world that I'm trying to build and to
Hmm.
like focus it, right? So like recently I think a lot of people started seeing the adventures of Red Dog, like
Yeah.
the chapters. And like
Yes.
that's all Jason Heat's ideas. Like he was like, dude, you should definitely do it where like you're interrupting your own monologue. And I was like, oh, I love this.
and you're British. Like, weren't you like British in one of them? Or no,
Yeah.
you're a old school detective. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
see, yeah, like, it's like this is the way I talk. My head, nah.
Right. And so then I wanted to do one where I was a British dude. I think one of them I'll do like as the voice of like Eric Cartman. Like
Oh
just
God.
it's just gonna be the most ridiculous things ever. And
If you can
I
just like pull some obscene like tones from like just like that'll go over people's heads, but you get it. And then like that's where the real joke is. The joke is like you get it, no one else does, and you're fine with it.
that's what a lot of people tell me. They're like, you just find ways to crack yourself up, right? And I was like, yeah, because I think I'm hilarious and sexy. Yo, so speaking of like wrestling and things like that, like what are your expectations of like those wrestlers who are in like their second or third years and are trying to like I don't know, they just come to you and they want to work at your promotion.
Like, I'm all for giving anybody a shot. Like, that's that I like to see a little stuff beforehand. Like, if I see that there's potential, hey, come on out. Like, that's like SWA is all about like growing the new talent and whatnot. So I've been trying to like get people in from all over the areas and whatnot, and just kind of cycling them in, see what works, see what doesn't work, and uh, quite a few people have stuck around. So
Yeah, I love working at SWA. I love being at Shady Grove because like the crowd is like so close, it's intimate, but it's
mhm.
like they're still super hot and
Yeah,
it is a lot of fun. And I like try to find like the most outrageous ways to like get over like other than in our 6 man when we had the battle royale,
yeah,
I ran into the table right off the jump.
yeah. I rewatched the video of that, and I'm just like, it's like I get the character you're going for. And it's sometimes I just catch myself going, why, why, what, when did this thought cross his mind? And I really hope that it was just spontaneous. That you
Oh
just said now, not
yeah.
like you didn't plan it like an hour ago or anything like that. Just as soon as you came out, you're like, I know exactly what I'm doing.
I looked at myself and I was like, you know what's gonna be really funny? When that song hits and I just come out and I make it look like I tripped from the back and just smoked the table. And that's exactly what happened. I was like, yo, let me be the first person out. And Nick was like, okay. So right when it happened, boom, I smoked the table. And he was just like, he said, "Yeah, I couldn't even look at you. I just had to keep walking." I was like, yeah, me too.
Dude, so like with that now, let me backtrack a little bit. Like, the Red Prince character obviously is a little bit more serious and
Mhm.
all that fun stuff. Like, that's great. But when I'm at SWA, like I kind of have to be a face, like, just for other different reasons. But I get to just have fun. And I knew teaming with you was going to be a blast because me and my partner Wes, we had the dynamic where he's the straight man, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna do whatever comes to mind. Like, the very first SWA show that we did coming back last August, came out, and I'm just circling around the ring. I am just doing laps around the ring, tiring myself out, stopping, taking a breath, and just doing it again. And then I just whip my hat off, and I almost hit a fan in the head. Luckily, they ducked. That is all on camera, and I have been given the name. Oh my God, Kung Lao from Mortal Kombat, like from
Nice.
West and everything. But that's a whole nother thing. But teaming with you was like a blast, man. Just like you and I trying to touch the fan, like right above us, and like Wes is like, stop it, like enough of this.
Yo, well, it would just be a lot of foreshadowing to what would happen later that night when someone went and touched the fan.
Dude, I can't control everything. That's
No.
all I can say. I can't control everything, but that was probably my favorite thing of the night.
Yeah, because when someone was just like, "Yeah, dude," they just jumped up there, celebrated, and slap, slap, slap. I was like, "What?" I was in tears. I was like, "Oh no! Oh no! No! No!"
I will not put him on blast here, but
He
I
knows who
love
he
that
is.
dude to death. Huh?
I was like, "He knows who he is."
He knows who he is. Like, good job though. My
He got
favorite
over
clip.
with the fans and with the fan.
Yeah, I see what you did there.
But Yeah, it's one of those things, man. It's like, you and I, like, we had our last interview right on the show, and
Mhm.
then it was like right after that, like you had sent me a message. You're like, I need to see more of Red Dog, and I was like, okay, cool. And like I started trying to like figure out how to put this character together and stuff, and build the world around him. But then like when you and I got to work, I was still like fleshing it out, like still trying to figure it out, and I'm still doing it now, and we're always going to be that way. But it has come so far from like where even we were in that first interview, and then like still developing and building and working. And then obviously at SWA we had another one, and like it's still like it's growing, and I feel like it's getting to the point where it's like is almost getting kind of out of hand, because like now Red Dog has a time machine and he goes back in time and visits people.
You need to understand, wrestling as a whole is out of hand. Just join the circus, Red Dog. Just like you're a part of it now. Just get with the program, go above and beyond, and like just out of bounds as much as you want. Because if it's gonna pop anyone, rest assured it's gonna pop me. You're not working for the fans, you're not working for the crowd, these promotions. No, you're working for me, Red Dog. Entertain me.
Well, like what was so funny was so a few weeks ago I had, and for those who are trying to figure out when we're dating this, right? You guys will figure it out. It's September. I also you need to know. A few weeks ago I dropped a picture of me and Tupac, and Chaz
I
lost his shit.
I know. Oh my dude, I was like, wow, this is one of the most brilliant things. Is I think I said it last podcast. I love wrestling Red Dog. I love Red Dog in the ring. Your internet stuff, your promos, and everything like that is one of the most entertaining things. It's just you can just drop a picture of you and Tupac, and I'm like, that's it. I love this guy. I love it. And like you could drop it without saying a word. Like
Right.
people are like, oh, it's just Tupac, and then like they're like, oh yeah, I love it, one of the greatest of all time, and you just post like a picture of like you looking around the corner and be like, look closer, and they're like, God damn
Well, like a bunch of some of my coworkers are now, because they love the photos where I just like subdue my character into like certain pictures and blend it in, and they
Uh-huh.
look for me. Now they all play World's Waldo, because like I think the last photo I put up at this time was I was in Egypt,
Yeah.
uh, and they're like, "Where are you?" And they're looking through the photo, and then they're like, "Oh, holy dude, I want to fight you." They're like, I'm like, "Bet I'm right here, and I'm
Like
right
you
there."
need to just start posting photos and have people look for you, but you're not in them. And then when you finally drop it, they're gonna just be like he's probably not. Wait, hold up. God damn it, he's right there. Like,
Just a few weeks, just like random photos. Like, yeah,
yes.
here I was. Yeah, I definitely that might have to happen. Just a couple weeks where it's like just random photos, and then
Right.
just random pop up. Yeah. I know eventually, because the idea got brought to me. They're like, dude, you should cross over in a cartoon. So I was like, well, I do have a cartoon Red Dog. Like I have two different characters, and one of them looks like an anime character, and I don't know, maybe popping up randomly in certain animes. I'm not sure. We'll figure it out.
I'm immediately when you say crossover, I'm thinking I want to see Red Dog in the end game, in Avengers Endgame, when Cap says Avengers Assemble. Red Dog needs to be somewhere in that like litany of just characters, somewhere in there. Whether it's right before the charge or during the charge, I don't care. I want to see him in it.
Bruh, what if it was just like me intercepting Milnor?
All
And
right, so
just
because
take
I
it
because
across.
because I know you're gonna get roasted for it, I'm gonna need you to say that word one more time.
Yeah, oh yeah, Milnor. Like
Mule.
Mjolnir. My bad.
There we go. There we
I
go.
know.
Like,
You're gonna
do
be like,
not
yo,
roast
what
him
is
too
wrong with
bad.
him? Listen,
Like
just like this
it's
guy
it's
right here.
stores
Okay,
out of hand.
we fuck everything up. It's fine. So a question that I really was like, because you have like this heel character that's just like down pat, and it's like he's ferocious, right? And he's fierce, and he just knows what he wants to do. Like when you were like developing your heel side of your character, like what was your bigger inspirations to build that world up, and then like how did you like get so comfortable in like the heel side of things?
Well, I feel like there's been stages. Like when I first really turned heel back in 2017, 2016 at EWA, it was new to me because I've been face for like the majority of my career at that point in time. Like maybe little heel spots here and there, but not enough to develop it. I feel like in the past like maybe 3 years, like I've really gotten into that groove. But the way that I got into it, it's kind of uncomfortable because I'm different now, so I'll say that. I was a very angry younger man. Let me put it like that. And like whether it's family, friends, like social things in school, whatever, there was a lot of like pent up stuff in that. And it's like I had to kind of like go backwards to kind of pull from that. Like and like every promo that I cut, every movement I make in the ring, whatever, like I'm thinking of something from back then that really got under my skin. So, and I just hold on to that thought throughout the entire match, from the entrance to the ring, whatever it may be. But it kind of fluctuates sometimes. So,
Yeah, it's interesting because like I see like the way like you like it's like this light switch. It's wild to me, right, to watch because it's like this light switch. Like you and I are like at HWF, like we were joking, and the moment that the first notes for the red came on, like there's just this shift, and I was like, "That's lit."
like it's it's like so. So like I that song I picked it because I've had this trouble for years, like trying to find like the perfect song that fits me. The Red by Chevelle fits that character so well, and like every lyric in that like matches how I felt back then. At the very least, like, and I'm like, as soon as I hear that riff, it just turns it on. So like, music in wrestling to me is very important. It's very important. It helps you get into the character. Like some people can do it without it. Great. I need something. I need a push, like to get me there, because it's not really easy going from 0 to 100, as or whatever Drake said. Like going 0 to 100, like everything is angry. Like I'm angry all the time now. So hearing that song, think about the lyrics, or maybe thinking about a thought from years gone by that I can pull back from and just sit in that for like 30 seconds to a minute before the song hits. But I definitely need a push. Like, so the Red by Chevelle, love that song to death. I
It,
can't listen to it every day. I will say that. I cannot. If it comes up on my playlist, skip. I can't. I can't do it. I can't do it. Like, no, no. It won't have the same effect.
it's funny because like for me recently I've been running like heel with pure ignorance, and
I've noticed. Oh, I've noticed.
and for me, before like I get ready to like go out or do whatever, I'll sit in the back and I listen to Catch a Fade by E40.
Oh,
And
oof.
yeah, I get turned up, and I get
There's
locked
a
in.
picture of you from the past EWA show, just like kind of posing with the the gun fingers out and whatnot. And I'm just like, as soon as you said catch a fade, I'm like, that's the first picture that I thought of. I'm like, yeah, you feeling it? You feeling it, ain't you? Like,
When I come out, like, and because like the one thing too was like at 1CW, right? Like, obviously, Chaz, Prince, and Noah are something that I'm not, right? And they're obviously holding up the fist, right? The power fist. But then you just see me randomly, I'm just like,
yes, and it's a weird, perfect fit. That's the best way I can put it. Is like one of these things doesn't belong yet still belongs. And I would like to say you've been kind of doing this before. Mr. Zane is doing it with the bloodline.
you know what's funny is like I'll put out there, right? So I was in a chat group with pure ignorance, right? And it got brought. They're like, I woke up like a random Saturday morning, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
when you realize you're the Sami Zayn of the group, and Noah was like, nah, that's not true. And so I took a picture of the bloodline with Sammy, right? And it was just solo Jimmy and Jay, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
Sammy. And I post that picture in, and then I post a picture of us, and I was like, tell me the difference. And then nobody said anything. They're like, you know what? You're kind of
Silence.
right.
Silence over the chat room.
Right. Like, you're kind of right. I was like, I know. I was like, it's fine. I'm like, I'm not mad about it. I was like, I get where I fit, right? Like, I told him, I was
I
like,
understand what's going on here, and it's
yeah,
okay.
like, I'm an honorary oos. I get it.
Are you an ignorant dog?
So crazy enough, that's the name of our team. When it's those guys, it's pure ignorance, right?
Of course.
But when I get involved, we become ignorant dogs.
Oh, so IGNIT, ignorant
Yeah,
dogs.
IGNANT actually.
Oh
So
no, you
yeah,
got it.
even
No,
worse.
that's too proper. I don't know. Put that I in there somewhere. Like ignorant. We need the I, not A. No,
Yeah, yeah,
you know
yeah.
what you mean.
But it's funny, man. Like the dynamic between us, like it all works out, and like we really got to showcase it at 1CW right first, and then we took it over obviously to EWA, and
Hmm.
everybody who was there at that show clearly saw like how our dynamic works for that. And
Hmm.
then it's been crazy though, man. Like so I'm like still trying to understand. And the thing is like, Sicken said it himself. He was like, I really love heel Red Dog. He's like, because you're kind of already a heel, like as Red Dog as a face, because you just talk a lot of trash. But now all that trash talk really gets under people's skin when you're a heel. Like,
Hmm.
so you get under your opponent's skin as a face, but then like while you're working as a heel, you're obviously getting under
Hmm.
everybody else's skin. And it was something like I learned, actually thanks to the podcast, right? I learned it with there was a few people who were telling me, and one thing they mentioned was that when you're a face, you're obviously fighting your opponent, right? But when you're a
Hmm.
heel, you're fighting the crowd.
Hmm.
So even though the face is that person, he's supposed to be the person that's talking to, like he's supposed to be standing up for the crowd, and you're supposed to
Hmm.
be fighting the crowd. And
Hmm.
so now, like all my trash talk, like I just switch it like in and out, and it's I don't know, it's becoming more and more fun, but it's pulling from like me more than it is pulling from like Deadpool, right? Because obviously
Hmm.
Deadpool, he says a lot of wild off shit. But me, I kind of like when you said you tap into something from your past, like I do the same, right? Like I just hear like all the kids from like elementary school and high school and
Hmm.
even in college like natting at me. And like I know I can get under people's skin so bad because I get to say all the things I always wanted to say to people, and now
Right.
it's just this character. I let it all explode, and
Oh.
I had this one lady, this one lady at the EWA show. She was irate. Like I've never seen someone legitimately tell me that they wanted to jump the guardrail and fight me and was like, "Fuck you, you cheater." I was like, and I looked back and I was like, I don't know who you're talking to. The guy sitting right next to you is probably cheating on you too. Don't look at me that way. And then she was like, and she looks at him and he's like, I'm not cheating on you. He's like, he's a cheater too. And then I just walked off.
I I thoroughly enjoy hostile situations like that. Like when they get really upset. Like PWX is the same way. Like for me and my crew. Oh,
Yeah.
and actually you experienced it too with me at HWF. That fan base. My God.
That thing turned hot real quick.
Like it dude, like I felt like in that moment, like I like when things go off the rails. Love it. Thoroughly enjoy it. Is it because now it causes you to think of like, okay, let's because if we just push through and go with what we have going on, it's gonna feel like inauthentic. I'm like, let's switch it now. Because that crowd was so hostile towards me, or like it just took one thing for me to go, all right, that's what I needed. That's what I needed, and just go off at the crowd, and they're loving you. I'm like, oh, great. Here we go. This is gonna be fantastic. Fuck
Yeah.
this crowd.
Yo, when that because that old lady that was sitting in the front row and you dropped the water on her and then she was
Oh, I don't,
livid.
dude. I was like, fuck you.
She was livid, and then there was the
The
girls, the little
girls.
girls.
Oh my god, that that was my favorite thing. I was like, you came all the way over, like, cause some girl like ran around the ring and
Yeah.
was starting to yell at me. I'm like, did you come all the way over here just to yell at me? Yeah, I did. I'm like, oh, you don't need to do that. Come on over here. Like, I get back down in the corner. They follow me. Go fuck yourself.
It was oh yeah, but to
told,
see
told
like
some dude to settle down because the track marks on his arms are showing. Like,
yeah,
just
I remember.
Great.
It's that level of like heat that you build up that I'm like, bro, like I was, I tell people I'm like, yo, those are levels of like that you have to get on, right? And there's more levels to even like, and I understand it is that there's levels like way above where even I'm at, and I like to think that my character, as far as my face character goes, like it's pretty good, but I like
Mhm.
there are like lightning levels up above me, and I was like watching you work that level of heat. I was like he didn't have to come out and curse. He didn't have to tell people anything obscene, right? He just naturally was like, "This is what I'm going to tell you. This is how you're going to react, and I'm going to control this whole emotions of everybody around him." And
Mhm.
like you were just you were just having fun, and people were like just eating it up. And I was like, that's the kind of level of like crowd control that I want to have one day.
It took. There's also a level of just not caring to it. Uh, and if you're able to just emote that to the crowd, at least in my experience, I don't know everything, but I just know what has worked for me. If I'm able to like give off the fact I do not care whatsoever, they're gonna feed off that. That's the energy that I come out with each time. I'm also kind of like I don't come out bursting out the curtain or whatever like that. I come out and I judge the crowd. I'm like, what are they gonna do? How are they gonna react to me? And it just takes that one little thing, like just to turn everything around, just like that old lady in the front row. So, uh, like, dude, yeah, you'll get there. If you want to get there, you're gonna get there. Like with the things that you're doing, you're gonna be just fine.
And so it's funny though because like the one thing that I'm just kind of I'm curious and I want to talk about this because this is something that's kind of actually like as of today is wearing on me, and I definitely want to ask like mentally though there is like this ruggedness that you go through in this journey of like wrestling, right?
Mhm.
And it does become like exhausting to the point where you're like, do you want to keep doing this? And like, how do you mentally keep yourself like in the moment or in the moment of like wrestling, right? Because like right now, I'll even give a perfect example, right? Just throughout the last couple weeks, right, and even like the last couple months, I've just found myself kind of like hitting these barriers of like just being mentally drained, right, and trying to keep myself like happy and fulfilled in this journey, right? But it's like you could only do so much to like you
Mhm.
can take a break from it, you can come back to it later, right? You can do this, you can do that. But at some point, like you have to take a break and you kind of have to just like sit back with yourself and just kind of like reassess. But in this business, there's not really that much time to take a break. Like, and so just how do you deal with like the constant like rotation?
Well, you almost hit every single one like of the things that I would have said, but like me personally, like since it's just such a grind all the time, it's the little moments. It's those moments like where done after a show or it's before a show, I ask myself, why am I doing this? And I'll either pull up a video of like something that I watched years ago that made me feel a certain way, like like a wrestling video or whatever, like somebody winning a big championship, whatever it may be. I pull up something that I remember vividly just to make me feel that again. Not saying that that's all the time because there's a lot of times I'm having fun. I'm having a lot of fun now, and it's been great. I think I said on the other podcast about the pandemic hitting and like just kind of taking a step back and reassessing. So like my fire for professional wrestling has been reignited. But there are those low times as you spoke of. Like I'll come home and I'll just remind myself, why am I doing this? If I can't find the reason as to why anymore, or those reasons like pulling the videos and stuff like that aren't working anymore, it's time to step back. I'm not gonna say quit or anything, but it's time to just step all the way back because like I know for a fact that I'm if I take a step back, I'm gonna miss wrestling. I know that's gonna happen. So let me miss it for a little bit. Let me reassess. Let me take a step back and just breathe for a minute, and then I'll come back. If things are different by that time, they're different. I just gotta climb back up like the ladder or whatever it may be, like to whatever promotion that I'm working for. That's what would work for me.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Is like sometimes you just have like you just exhausted, and I'm just kind of like right now I'm just at the point where I'm just like I love doing what I'm doing. Like,
Mhm.
and to be honest, I think it's more of Red Dog's thought of the day that really just keeps me like laughing because like I'll randomly see something and I'll be like, I'm definitely gonna use that in a video. And I just find myself like enjoying like the process of building the character world. Because
Mhm.
sometimes, man, like the stressors of like you don't know what's always going on, and sometimes you kind of get left out in the dust, and you're just kind of like, I don't know what's happening. I got to figure out where I'm gonna fit, and like someone's gonna get this real quick. In certain promotions, you're trying to find where you belong, right? What your setting is, and it's like you have to ask those questions, those hard questions to like certain promoters, right? And figure out
Mhm.
like what you're trying to get accomplished and what you want to
Mhm.
do. But it's also it sometimes gets disheartening because like sometimes you work for a promotion that just doesn't want to get back to you. And I'm just kind of like, then do I really want to work for you guys anymore? Because you guys hit me up all the time, but you just don't have a clue what you want to do. And it
Mhm.
gets frustrating. And mind you, to the one person who thinks they know what it is, it's not. So, but it's I know someone's gonna be like, oh, he's talking about this promotion. It's not that promotion. Don't worry about it. It's weird because you also know that you have a steady fan base who listens to the show,
Mhm.
and then they just automatically be like, oh, I know what he's
Yeah,
talking about. Like, nah, no, you
it's
don't.
like you think you know, but you don't know.
Yeah, but
But no, that's a
it's yeah,
that's a real thing. Is we've all gone through it. Like promotions, if they don't know what they want to do, cool. Like you're honest. You don't have a game plan right now. Come back when you do. Hopefully you do. Like because maybe you really do want to work for them, or maybe just one of those kind of filler shows. Because there are filler shows. Like all right, I got nothing to do. Let's do this. Let's have a little bit of fun. Um, but that is very frustrating. I kind of so I don't give this away myself. Kind of went through that almost a year ago myself. And it was just maybe it was a lack of story. You can pitch all the ideas that you want, like this is where it should go. This makes the most sense. And like, no, we're just gonna one and done. That's it. Okay, then why'd you bring me in? Am I just someone else's program? I don't makes me kind of feel a little like a certain way. So but came there, made the agreement, get in there, get out. But I'm not gonna lie, I left kind of frustrated.
yeah, and it's funny because like that's like the one thing I think going into this year, right? Going into my third year, right? As of January, uh,
January.
I'm going into my third year, and I think for me, what I'm looking for is like more growth of my character, right? That's definitely always gonna be tops. But the other part is I want to be locked up in a couple storylines. And
Mhm.
as much as I consider like you and working Andino like my big matches of the year, right? I also want to work other I want to work that's really where I want to work these banger matches with people like he's gonna know I'm gonna put him out there. O'Shea Edwards. Like I would definitely love to be able to run a match with him at one time. Or,
Absolutely
run it back with Sicken
enjoyed
again.
working with that man.
Yes.
Absolutely enjoyed working with that man.
Because and the thing is like I want to work, with like Isaiah Wolf, right? And another
Mhm.
match with Darius Carter. And I know because these guys are pillars to me. Like these are the
Mhm.
guys who are like when I first met them, they saw me where I started, and now I can go back and test myself against them later, right?
Mhm.
And now it's like I want those big matches because those big matches matter, right?
Mhm.
They just put us they're going to test me, they're going to tell me where I'm at, where I can improve and where I can get better at and what I'm going to be where I'm going to be focused, right? Like I've had people come to me and tell me they're like, "Hey, we like the matches that you run, but we also want to know like like one critique that I got that I've been trying to work on better, right? It's like when does Red Dog want to win a match?" And I was like, "Yo, that's crazy. That's a crazy critique." But that's something that's very notable. Like I need to know that, right? And it's one of those things now where it's like I want to work these big like I don't want to say big names, but larger names, right? Because that's how you're only going to get better is if you're grinding your axe against a sharper axe. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm. Definitely understand that. Like working people that are on a different level helps you. Like you can work someone that's on the same level for so long, but like eventually you gotta grow. right? So like that's your goal, and honestly, that's a great goal to have. And I'm sure you're gonna have those big matches. Like that's without question. That's
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Also, the other part that I know I have to stop doing is like stop being afraid to for ask promoters and like slide in those DMs and just be like, hey, you should totally book me because like I don't do that
I'm not
enough.
asking. I'm telling you. You should
Yeah, hey, you need someone like me on your show. Like as a face or a heel, you need to be on your show. And it's something like and now I'm starting to grow comfortable with, right? Because like uh this is like something that's kind of cool and it's kind of braggadocious on my part, and I'm gonna be open about it. And I don't really care. Uh as of like October, I'll have debuted in 10 different promotions.
It's
And
awesome.
that's yeah, and I was like, yo, that's massive to me because the goal originally was 9, and I thought that was lofty. And
Hmm.
now I'm almost at that goal, with like going into my 8th promotion actually on the 30th of September. Um,
Another thing right there is like just like the whole taking a step back, reassessing whatever. Another thing is live in that moment. Live in that moment. Like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. Like whether it's like you have like you're 3 years in, whatever. Like, oh man, I have a championship. Oh, I never thought this would happen, or like I can't believe this is happening, or I'm debuting for 10 different promotions in like multiple different states. This is awesome. Like keep those memories. Don't just let them go by.
right.
Like live in that for a second. Like this is what I wanted to do, and I'm doing it right now. This is awesome. So like kudos to you for doing that.
Appreciate it. And I think one of my favorites, right, so for this year so far, other than like working off of my 2 big names, but also they like working in Massachusetts, right, at
Hmm.
the Wrestling Open. Like I had a practice match with Evander James. Like I was like, "Yo, this is amazing," and he's such a great talent. And I was like,
Hmm.
so here I am in a ring with somebody that I randomly met at a SWF show, and here I am now working with that person a year later, just in a tryout match. And I was like, I've thoroughly just enjoyed like that journey. And
Hmm.
now it's like, all right, so I've had this big year. Well, I consider it a big year and it's a successful year at that.
Hmm.
Where do we go next? Right. And I'm like, well, I was like, obviously like wrestling in different states will definitely be tops. But I see you and I'm like, I don't want to compare my road to his, but I definitely want to go international at some point.
It's dude. It took me almost 10 years to get there. Like and like that's on me because I had a fear. I was just like I don't know if I'm ready yet. I'm like things happened in 2017 that I'm like just it felt like certain things were kind of falling and whatnot. And I just said, you know what, screw it, now or never, just do it. And it just opened up a bunch of different doors after the fact. So don't follow my road. Don't be afraid. Do it.
I feel like that's the part where I really got to focus on too is like not being afraid of just like that is one of my things, right? So I definitely worry about being told no, and I shouldn't because that's definitely I tell people all the time, don't worry about the no's. The no's only mean new opportunities. And yet here I am find myself like at somebody's DM and I just don't hit the send button. And I'm like, yeah, I should definitely find a more creative way to like ask them without asking them. And so I like, hey, I have this podcast. Should totally come on. Then I find a new way to bring them on. But it's definitely I don't know. It's weird though because it's like I know I could as a person that's still growing in the business, and I'm sure there's people out there who are still also having that issue, right? It's like you have to tell yourself like get out of your own way
Hmm.
and like just jump in head first. But it's one of those things that like when I go back and I talk to people who have been to the places that I want to get to, it's like there's always that fear aspect of being told no or that I'm not good enough, right?
Hmm.
And I kind of want to hear it, but I don't want to hear that at the same time because I'm like, yo, like this is my baby. I've like created this character, and you're telling my character's not good enough.
Right, right. Like uh, one of the best things like I've heard is like make yourself undeniable. Like and I think you're on your way of doing that. And like you said, don't worry about the nose. Don't worry about the nose. You're gonna get told 10 times, 9 out of 10 times, but you get one yes. Work with it.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking
I
forward
believe
to
in
that.
Red Dog.
I appreciate that. What makes this like it's so cool because like a lot of people don't realize these are kind of conversations that TJ and I have like off camera as well as on
Mhm,
camera. So like you guys aren't really getting anything different as well as like just when I go through and I like try to figure out like where I'm going at least with this character or like where I see other people going with their characters. I don't know, man. It's funny to be able to like to use so much like material and then try to figure out like the world that I'm building, how I'm building it, who I
mhm.
want to reach out to. Because the thing is, I know that my character doesn't work for everybody,
Yeah.
but but there is a promotion out there in Ohio that I've recently run into, and I definitely have to get myself out there because they they all pretend to be 1930 characters, and I'm like,
Ha, ha. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you.
man,
I have three great characters for that style. Like that would be fun for me. It would also out of the Red Prince bubble. I'm not gonna link it here. I'll link it off camera though.
all right, but yeah, I definitely love like the push and pull and the growing and the understanding. And I guess that's where I look at it too. And this is where I was trying to go with like the whole like with this whole podcast, right? Is like there's gonna be other people out there who are totally afraid of like trying something new.
Mhm,
And it comes down to like those that are in their second year or even in their first years, right? That are still trying to understand like where the growth comes or where that comes. It's or where the growth comes and how they develop. It's one of those things where I try to like I guess because I'm older, like I don't have a problem like just
mhm,
shooting it and just trying to figure out what's gonna happen. But it's also you have to make like these calculated risks, like what you're willing to do, but then you also have to understand like there's like this growth potential that you have. And I love the aspect of being able to like go through this journey and grow and document it and then talk to people about how far we're going with this. And I think where I'm at is it's almost like wanting to help people see that there's these little tweaks and stuff that are always there to mold and bend and push. And you shouldn't be afraid to like take those opportunities.
mhm, mhm. That definitely, most definitely. Like, do not be afraid. Like it, from experience, it's trying new things is scary. People are scared of change. Trying new things are just a multitude of things. Like, but if you want to excel and succeed in this, you're gonna have to take the risk. Like, it's no way around it. Unless you're comfortable with what you're doing, where you're at, all power to you. Not for me though. Not for me.
Yeah, I can't wait to find like that one promotion that goes, "Hey, we want to see you do XYZ with this character." And I'm gonna be like, "Sure, why not? Let's find out where it works and what doesn't." Like I know recently I had a promotion tell me that they wanted to see me kind of like that good all American boy. And I was like,
All American Red Dog. I
you know what?
like
And
it.
I was like, I don't dislike this idea, right? However, I'm gonna be more of a Homelander than I am a Superman. And I think if the people who understand, like, where I'm going with this, they'll be like,
Ooh,
"Oh,
all right. All right. Yep.
it's."
I'm on the ride. I want to hear this one.
We'll talk about it off camera.
Uh,
Because, yeah, I just think that people, like, I don't know, we'll talk about it more off camera and we won't dive into it, but, we will dive into the 3rd best segment of the 3 Count podcast because, the first is the Red Dogs Power Rankings that you can find sometimes on our show and
okay.
sometimes not. It's not retired yet as much as Chaz wants to put it out there. We also have the 3 Count podcast, 10 count questions, but this is pin submit DQ, and this is how it works. I'm gonna fire off 3 rounds of 3 wrestlers or 3 characters, and you got to pin one, submit one, or DQ one.
One submit one. Like me myself.
Yeah, you yourself.
Ooh. Okay. All right.
All right.
Let's go.
So let's go with our first 3, right? All these guys are going to sound very familiar, and they should, right? We have Moses, O'Shea Edwards, and we also have Shane Taylor.
Well, seeing as I've already pinned Mr. O'Shea Edwards, I'm gonna throw that right there. I've already done it, but I'm gonna add insult to injury and do it again. Pin Mr. O'Shea Edwards. There's something about submitting Shane Taylor that sounds fantastic. And I got a DQ Moses.
You know what's funny is like I was thinking about this for like the longest time of like what I would do, and I'm definitely DQing Shane Taylor, and here's why: I don't want to get hit by that forearm at all.
Listen, I will take the hit as long as I'm submitting you in the end. That's fine. Break the jaw, shatter this entire area. You're still tapping out.
So we're gonna take this to another style, right? But this all these guys have something in common. So we're gonna start with Superman, Captain America, and Homelander.
Pin, DQ, and submit.
Yep.
All right, right off the bat, I'm submitting Captain America because I hate that I can do this all day. Not if I break your ankles. No, Cap. No Cap. Unless, wait a minute, hold on. Which Captain America?
Let's take Steve Rogers.
I mean, right now, it's my boy Sam Wilson.
It is Sam.
It is Sam? Okay, so I got...
No. I said let's take Steve Rogers. But yes, I understand where you're coming from because currently it is Sam, but we were taking Steve Rogers.
Steve Rogers? Okay, yes. Submit Steve Rogers. Ooh. Remember that whole thing I said earlier about like taking the hit? Yeah. I feel like I all right, I want to pin Superman. I'm a DQ Homelander. I'm gonna opt out on that one.
All right. So our last group that we're gonna put in there may seem familiar, and some of our younger fans are definitely not gonna have any idea who we're talking about. But you know, I'm forgetting one of the names. I just had it on the tip of my tongue. We're talking about Rash. We're talking about Pimple, and we're talking about oh my god, what was my last one? I just had it in my head. We're talking about the guys of Battletoads, actually. So it was Rash.
Can we go on the other side and talk about Double Dragon? Like,
Rash, Zit, and Pimple.
All right, now I got to go into a memory bank here.
Yeah.
Whew.
So if you want context of who's who, right? So Pimple was the giant, the big guy in the whole series. Rash is the one that doesn't wear sunglasses, and it's actually wears sunglasses. Somebody out there's gonna be so pissed that I said it that way, and they're gonna be like, "That's not what it is." I'm like, I don't care. That's what we're going with today.
Rash, Pimple, and Zit.
Yep.
All right. Whose glasses wear?
Oh, Zit.
Zit. Okay, submission. I'm submitting Zit because I want that pain in his eyes. I want him to rip off those damn glasses. I want to see him crying. Okay. And you know what? It's not, and it's going to be a rear naked choke. It has to be. It has to be a rear naked choke. I got to prove that I can get around that shit, you know? Rear naked choke to Zit. Big dude was
Pimple.
You know, I opted out on the big threat with Homelander. So you know what? I'm pinning him. I'm going to pin him. And we're going to DQ the other one.
Yep, Zit's got to go. He got
Damn. Oh my god. Yeah.
There it is. We have all of his answers, right? So last thing we need though, TJ, is we just need our listeners and our viewers to know where they can find you.
You can find me on the social media platforms of Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all at The Red Prince or Red Prince Sykes on all three platforms. You can find me this weekend at Pro Wrestling Express as your, hold on for a second, cheap plug, your PWX World Heavyweight Champion. You can find me next Saturday, October 8th. I believe I'm going to see you on this date too, Red Dog. October 8th, SWA, another one more mountain to climb in a tag team match against Black Magic. New Element Black Magic 2 will be happening. And later on that night, it will be Chris Gatton versus Tjay Sykes for the Elite Pro Heavyweight Championship in another promotion. I'm double shotting it, Red Dog. I'm double shotting that night. That's where you can find me. And right now, you can find me in my basement right now and kind of talking to one of my favorite people in Cliff. So.
Well, there you have it. He gave you all of his handles. He told you where you can find him. So if you're trying to catch hands, you know where to go. But
and I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it again. At Red Prince Sykes. Do it now. Follow now. Like now. Share it. Tell your friends. Tell your family.
Like, just pause this episode. Lift up on the screen, swipe over to your app, click it, follow, then swipe back over, and then jump back into this episode.
And then come on back.
Yeah. But he gave you his handles. He told you where you could find him if you want to catch those hands. You know exactly where to look. But like every part of a wrestling match, everybody's favorite part of a wrestling match at that, we got to take this home. Because this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Into the Ring 201. And I'm your host, Clever Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. But like every good sharper, you got to have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. And that's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering. You see him right there. All right. The Red Prince himself, Tjay Sykes. And you guys know what to do. Tune into the next episode and be there. Or you're following all of our handles down here at the bottom. Okay. You're subscribed to our YouTube channel. You're following us on Spotify. You're giving us those 5-star frog splash reviews. You're also giving us all the love over on Apple Podcasts as well. You're doing all that. You're telling your friends about our episodes. You're loving all the comments that we're leaving, and you're leaving all the comments that we want to like. You're doing all that stuff, and you're buying our merch. Or you're really just waiting for this episode to end. You're waiting for that outro, and then you're choosing another episode to listen to.
Or they're slipping into a deep, dark depression, sitting on the couch because they don't know when the next 3 Count Podcast is going to come out, and they're just waiting with bated breath. Cliff, they need to know. They need to know. That's what makes the world go round. That's what makes their life mean something. You add to their meaningless lives, Cliff. See, that's the Red Prince talking, by the way.
I'm like, yo, Tuesdays and Thursdays, you all know, and Sundays, right? If you're watching the live show. Peace. What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3count_pod, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3 Count Pod. Give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give a subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment. We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm/the 3 Count Podcast, and in there, you can leave us a message, and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3 Count Podcast also has merchandise. At ProWrestlingTees.com/the 3 Count Pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So show us some support, please.